Let's talk about how I got a grazing scholarship to fully fund my back course. The application period is now open for all four ins. So, let's get into some really useful tips and see what I said on my form back in 2018 when I received the Frank Quickfall Award from the Honorable Society of Grazing. Welcome to the Future Barrister podcast. I am your host, Neve, and we release a podcast every week to support future barristers as they navigate the good, the bad, and the ugly on their journey to qualifying. Let's just get right into it. A few things to note. A lot of times it's taken for granted that not everyone knows where to even begin with bar related resources. I met colleagues on the bar course who had completed the LLB in the UK but did not know that there were scholarships available for the bar course. Here are some really important points to note, so grab your notepad and let's just get right into it. Now, I'm using the terms scholarship and awards interchangeably here. Point one, you can only apply to one Inn for a scholarship. There are four Inns, namely Gray's Inn, Lincoln's Inn, Inner Temple, and Middle Temple. I'll put a link to the four Inns in the description box. A point to note, and I quote from the Gray's Inn website. Any student who makes a multiple application to this and any other inn, or who joins another inn, will not be entitled to the grant of a scholarship or award from this inn. Please note that this rule applies to all four inns. This is self-explanatory. Number two, you do not need to be a member of an inn before you apply. However, you will have to join the inn which gives you the award, which makes complete sense. There's something else on that point that I want to bring across. You are not obligated to apply for the scholarship from the inn that you have already joined. So, for example, if you're an early starter and you joined the inn, from the time you were in your second year of your undergrad, but now you want to apply to a different inn for the scholarship, do confirm this with the inns. But I think it is possible to do that as long as you make one application to only one inn, and if the other inn does give you that scholarship, then you will have to join that inn. So, of course, there's a financial consideration to be made because you'll have to pay to be admitted to that second inn. I do think that there's a way around that. And there are reasons that someone might do this. You might have joined Grace Inn before you knew that only shortlisted candidates are interviewed. So do confirm this with each of the inns, but I do think there's a way around it. Number three, not all the inns interview everyone. Gray's Inn and Lincoln's Inn only interview shortlisted candidates, while Middle Temple and Inner Temple interview everyone. Actually, Inner Temple's website states that it aims to interview everyone, but in practice, they do interview everyone. Number four, visit the website for each of the inns, and it will be really easy to follow the links to the application form. It's quite important to read the terms and conditions. I did have a look at the form for Gray's Inn. You will need to register to get access to the form, and then there are a few sections to complete. Number five. And number five is just a list of other matters that you need to bear in mind. References are really, really important for these scholarships. A lot of weight goes into it. So choose someone who can speak to your ability and your motivation to become a barrister. So somebody who is very involved in mooting at your university, a lecturer who can speak to your ability, somebody you maybe have done some legal work experience with. So in my experience, I did choose the mooting coordinator at my university, and I chose somebody that I had done an international moot with. So those two persons spoke to my ability, my motivation. They had seen me mooting, they had seen my drive, and my desire to become a barrister. And so I'm sure what they said on those forms carried great weight and helped me achieve that award. Okay, the deadline for submission is Friday, 5th November. But please check the different websites for the actual time. Example, Inner Temple has a 1 p.m. deadline on the day, and other inns may actually require a hard copy to be in by that date. So I cannot stress enough that you need to check each website to see what they're requiring. Next point, start your application process today if you have not. It is recommended to work from a Word document and then copy the answers to the actual form when you are ready to submit, which leads quite nicely to my last point. Get colleagues and friends to read over your form. You can even choose one person for simply checking grammar. That cannot be overstated, you know. So do that. Now, let's get to my answers. This week we have only recorded an audio. Usually we do a video as well and we just post that onto our YouTube. But today, the only footage that will be on my YouTube will be my actual answers. So it will be an audio file, but you will be able to see my answers. So you could also check out our YouTube channel. It's Align the Bar, ALIGNTHEBAR, and you'll be able to see the script of my answers back in 2018. But for the purposes of the podcast, I'm just going to read them for you as well. Of course, I do not claim to be an expert, and I was extremely humbled to have received the award. I'm sure there were many other deserving people at the time who didn't get through, not because they weren't competent, but the competition was just that tough. For the sake of keeping this podcast from running over, I have selected just three answers to share. I'm happy to go deeper and stick around, until the end so you can know how to reach me. Like I said, I had a look at the grazing form, and these three questions are not there anymore, actually. At least they're not being asked the same way. However, I've chosen the questions on the form right now that are, in essence, asking the same thing. Now, to be fair, 3 years later, I would say that my answers are definitely more polished. Like they would be so much more polished and they would have so much more depth. But these were my answers back then. I'm trying to be very transparent with you so we can build a community of support. And guys, I was shortlisted, so it did get through the dreaded paper sift. And so here we go. Great. So, question one, intentions as to practice at the bar and pupillage. And I'm going to read my answer to you. I am genuinely pursuing a career as a barrister in England and Wales in fraud or financial crime, with an added interest in international criminal justice. I'm particularly attracted to the independent nature of a barrister's role. The problem solving and intellectual stimulation offered also appeals greatly to me, as I have gained the greatest satisfaction through independently reconciling challenging accounts. I have done mooting throughout university, and in 2016, I achieved the Best Speaker Award and I was a finalist at a highly competitive international moot on international humanitarian law in Belarus. Due to this, coupled with court pupillages, mini pupillages, and other legal work experiences, I am reassured that my skill set is a strong match for the bar. A barrister's areas of practice can cover a vast number of industries, which keeps the work quite interesting. My extensive background in accounting has prepared me further, with a keen ability to analyze large amounts of data and an in depth ability to identify errors. Through paid and voluntary roles for charities, nonprofits, and the retail and shipping industries, skills such as attention to detail and the ability to meet deadlines was strengthened. Now, on the current form, the question, and I'm using Grace in as a comparison because that's my in. The question that's been asked this time is, what has inspired you to become a barrister, and what have you done to find out about a career as a barrister? Now, you really have to look at the question and always try to think, what skill are they trying to get me to demonstrate? So, what has inspired you to become a barrister? So, don't just say a TV show, because what skill is that pulling out? And what have you done? Don't just speak about what you've done, but what about what you've done has strengthened or developed a skill that you need to be a barrister? So let's just dissect, my question, my answer. I said, I'm genuinely pursuing a career as a barrister in fraud or financial crime with an added interest in international criminal justice. At that time, that's sincerely what I wanted to do. And I had something to back it up. It wasn't something in the thin air, I have my background in accounting, and so there was that element of interest in the area. Then I said I'm attracted to the independent nature of a barister's role, and that's still true. Especially as a new mom, I love the independence that the bar offers. The problem solving and intellectual stimulation offered appeals greatly to me as I have gained the greatest satisfaction through reconciling accounts. So I didn't just say, oh, I love problem solving, I love the intellectual stimulation, because almost everybody will have that. Why do I love it? I love it because I've worked in accounts. And when you have done bank reconciliations and other types of account reconciliations, and trying to balance these things and sort out the answers, this has been one of the most enjoyable parts of accounting for me. And so that shows that I know what I'm talking about when I say I love problem solving. And it also shows that I've developed the skill. And it also shows that I understand that it's a critical skill for a barrister. So all of these things you have to consider when you're actually putting your answers down. And then I said, I've done mooting. I, popped in my award there, my international mooting. That was important as well. And you know what? I actually should do a video on that time that I went to Belarus to moot. That was very, 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 very interesting. Not like anything I'd done in the UK. So yeah, look out for that. I think I'll get that done. And then I said that I'd done mini pupillages, I had done court pupillages, and I didn't go into detail of, okay, I did this hair, because there's a section of the form that would ask you to list these things, but I still popped it in here because it was strengthening my answer. And I said I am reassured that my skill set is a strong match. So it's not something I think. Be very confident in your approach when you're answering these questions. If you know that you've put in the work and you know that you'll be a strong match, say that you've put in the work and that you believe you'll be a strong match. And then I said, barristers' areas of work cover a vast number of industries. And what I meant there was, even if you are interested in fraud, today you could be working with a manufacturing company and tomorrow you're working with a sports team. Like there's so many different industries that it can cover. And it'll just be interesting to keep working on all of these different areas and you're learning something. Even on my mini pupillages, like no two cases were the same. And so that will keep the work quite interesting. So that's something that's quite nice to see and true. And I just ended with saying, about my accounting background, that I have an ability to analyze large amounts of data, which is true, to identify errors. Like I said, that has been my favorite part of accounting. I love doing reconciliations. And yeah, I just spoke about my skill sets, the other ones I thought were necessary, like attention to detail, ability to meet deadlines, and these things were strengthened because of all of the work experience that I'd done. And one thing I will say here, it is so important to say yes to so many different opportunities that might come across your way. A lot of future barristers are so focused on getting legal work experience that they miss out on other opportunities. So many things that you can do. You can pull out skills that you can transfer to many other professions. And I think for me, when I'm filling out these forms or when I'm having an interview, it's so much easier to speak about the skills that you've strengthened and why you want a certain job, and in this case, why you want to be a barrister. When you have a lot of different experiences to pull skills out of, it flows more naturally, it's more believable, and it's actually true because you've put in the work. So here I did speak up about a lot of legal things, but I did speak a lot about my accounting background, which is very, very true. So let's move on to question two, and it's two of three. So the second question is, Any asking about any other occupations, training, experience, interests, or achievements. And what I chose to speak about was, well, I'm going to just again script my answer to you. In September, and I guess that was in 2018, so I said in September, I had a once in a lifetime experience as the first St. Lucian to arrive to Belarus. This has definitely increased my desire to explore further. I am eager to complete the Capital Ring walk next spring. I founded a training program which promotes higher learning. Having first hand knowledge of how daunting the experience can be, I launched the Go Workshop series in May 2016 with a sponsorship from BBP University and LexisNexis. The organizational and public speaking involved continue to shape my skill set for the bar. Currently, I am working on establishing a newsletter at my old primary school to encourage an interest in wider reading. The paid roles which I have held while studying include accounts assistant, which is my current role, at Helpage International and St. Luke's Hospice. These roles have definitely assisted me in prioritizing tasks and developed my ability to work as part of a team and to meet deadlines and targets and deadlines. I hope to receive an employability award from BPP, which will provide a tangible representation of my drive to demonstrate a well rounded individual who has invested in professional and personal development. I document my law journey through my blog, which is, and I have a long, I have a long thing there, but my blog is my law journey blog. And this has been instrumental in establishing relationships with peers. I aspire to further record this journey through a series of books. I have recently fulfilled a lifelong desire by taking ballet classes professional. Let's get into that answer. Before we do that, the current question on the Grace Inform is please detail any relevant legal or work experience, including dates. So they're just asking you about any other work experience you've done, any other legal work that you've done. So there was not something specifically asking for occupations training, but it really is the same occupations training experience, interests, achievements. Because when you're asked for other work, don't necessarily think it has to be a paid role. Anything that you've done volunteering or your initiatives, it's work. So I started by saying, this one is very, very interesting. Well, I think so. I started by saying that I had a once in a lifetime experience as the first Lucian to travel to Belarus. And you realize I stopped there. I didn't go on further to speak about the mood and the award because I have already discussed it there. And also there is another part of the form asking specifically for awards. I would have put that there. I'm also sure there's another place asking for mooting or public speaking. I would have. So don't try to repeat everything. Even if you repeat the experience, you're pulling out just one point. So when I went to Belarus, like I said, I'm going to do a separate video on that. What happened was I was actually stopped for quite a while when I got to the airport in Minsk. And was it in Minsk? Well, in Belarus. And the reason was because apparently my passport had never entered the country before. Now, I'm almost sure that there are other St. Lucians or St. Lucian descendants, heritage that would have entered Belarus, but probably on other passports. So, probably somebody who's British or US or a diplomatic passport. But a plain St. Lucian passport, yeah, that privilege is mine. And I'm going to hold on to my little box that I was able to tick first St. Lucian passport to travel to Belarus. But on my answer, I said first St. Lucian, but I think that definitely might be wrong. But first St. Lucian passports, I didn't know at the time, so I wasn't putting false information. That's what I was told at the airport that I was the first St. Lucian. Okay, and then I said I wanted to the capital ring, and again that was so true. The place I lived at that point, there was a lovely park, and it was one of the stops. So if you don't know what the capital ring is, it is an actual route that people hike around London, and so you stop at different parks and different spots like a sightseeing. It's very very adventurous, and I actually have not gotten to do it because right After the back course, I got pregnant, but I still want to do it. So again, I had not accomplished it, but it showed that I had interest and I was more than just having my nose in the books. So I did want to accomplish that as well. And then I spoke about the training program that I implemented, and I did do that. I know how daunting, the experience of higher learning can be. For me and my community where I'm from in St. Lucia, I come from Grace, which is a small farming community. And of course, times have changed. But when I was a little girl, attending university was a wild dream. That was only something for a very, very, very select few. And so, because of that, I launched the Go Workshop series. And what we did is I got sponsorship from BBP and LexisNexis at that time in 2016. And I went in and hosted a series of workshops speaking about higher learning and developing public speaking skills. So I did that. So I popped that in here. And I also spoke about a newsletter that I wanted to establish, which I haven't done because I haven't been to St. Lucia in actually 3 years. And since I'm working on Align right now, that's been on pause, but I still would like to do that. So that's my alma mater. I love that school to pieces. And so I spoke about the things that I wanted to do. It wasn't even British based, but you could see the skills that were being developed inside of me that I could have transferred to becoming a really good barrister. And then I spoke about my paid roles and how they helped me in prioritizing tasks and developing my ability to work as part of a team, meet deadlines. And also, I spoke about two more things. Well, three more. Oh my God, that was packed. Uh, at that point, BPP was running something called an employability award. I don't know if they're still doing it, but you were given different tasks and you had to complete them and get feedback and work with somebody. Was it a counselor, I believe? And they would sign off on what you've done and really go into depth. I will say it seemed to lean more towards the solicitor route, but I was genuinely interested in getting that done, and I did accomplish it. Very proud of that. And so it was able to show that I'm not just in the books, again, well rounded, that I took the initiative to apply for it, get into it, and all of that. And it showed professional development, personal development. And I also spoke about my blog. And I have this long URL, and all I had to do was just put my Law Journey blog, because I'm almost sure that they print out these things to read. So nobody was actually going to go to the link and read it. But you grow and you learn. And finally, guys, I said I have recently fulfilled a lifelong desire by taking ballet classes professionally. So this is true because I am a dancer. I used to dance, so it's not a lie. But and I've always wanted to do ballet. I still do. I just think some things you need to give up. So maybe I need to give that one up. And I did attend a ballet class. I signed up and I did go. So everything in that sentence is truthful to the T. Do not lie on your forms. However, I will say that when I moved to the UK, because I was a student, I was not able to afford ballet classes professionally and I didn't have the time. Two things. However, because I really believed that to be a barrister, there was a certain class or field or type of person that you needed to be. And I wanted to make sure I put that on my form. So I forced myself, literally, to attend at least one class before my interview so that this would have been truthful. And that in itself is a whole embarrassing few minutes of my life, which maybe I will share again in another video. We have a lot of things to talk about. I am giving you all the embarrassing moments so we can grow from it and learn from it. So I forced myself to take a class so that I could say that I fulfill the desire to take ballet classes professionally. And like I said, this is completely truthful. I love dancing. I used to dance and I do want to take ballet classes professionally. Maybe I'm way too old for that now. So I could do it for fun. But, there was no reason for me to put myself through that. Anyways, that's that. Please be truthful on your forms. Don't say you've done something or you want to do something if it's not true. But I should have just left that out and saved myself that entire ordeal. I'll share it another day. But I did attend that one class just so I could see that I have started the classes because I thought barristers golfed or did ballet or skied and nobody else made the cut. So let's get into my very last answer that I'm going to share. And it's, do you have any other items that you wish to highlight? And my answer is that I earnestly hope to be considered for this award as I will not be able to pursue the BPTC otherwise. There is great emphasis placed on graduates to move beyond a strong academic record to being a well rounded individual who has invested in professional development with a wide array of employability skills to offer. The drive for me to demonstrate a commitment to the bar and my potential as an advocate was further exacerbated due to my non legal background, coupled with unprecedented financial challenges. To this end, I have held two accounting roles, one of which was a 2 hour commute from home. I've achieved international moot awards, invested in legal work experiences, led student societies, and founded and direct a non-profit organization. I have enjoyed every bit of this process. My experiences have left me with a vast amount of transferable skills, such as commitment to a purpose, and developed my ability to communicate with people at all levels. However, this risk had the distinct disadvantage of significantly reducing my study hours, energy, and focus levels, which naturally caused my grade to fall short of a first. I will end with a 2-1. Bracket predicted. And the current question on the form is, are there any other matters or mitigating circumstances you wish to highlight? So I guess that question is pretty much the same. So here I just chose to be honest and said, without this award, I cannot pursue the course. And the reason that I won't be achieving a first is because it was impossible with everything that I was doing. I remember I met a colleague once at a train station and she said, "Oh my God, you're always on the move. I'm just trying to say hi to you." And I was like, "Yeah," because either I was coming from a moot or I was coming from work or I was just always on the move, literally for 3 years. And of course, that did not leave me without a scar or without many scars. But I'm just saying, in that time, that really affected my ability to perform any better than what I did. And even achieving that 2-1, I was so happy when I saw it because it was the bare 2-1. That's why at the time I put predicted and I worked my tail off for the last few modules that I had to make sure I got that 2-1. So it's something I'm so proud of. You'd swear it was a first. And again, that brings something really interesting to the front. All barristers don't have a first, but I do believe in doing your best and getting the best grade. It's not just to fit a box. It's a great achievement. Like, do your best, get good grades. Remember, use your own experiences. Think of the skills that they want you to demonstrate rather than a particular thing that you should have done by this stage. There's no classic answer for these forms. Reach out for assistance, and I will have a one to one call and review the forms with the first three people to get in touch with me. And you can find our contact details on our website at alignthebar.co. That's ALIGNTHEBAR.co. And you can send me an email and you can call me, and we will have a one to one chat, confidential, and I'll review your form. Or if you haven't been able to, no, I definitely want you to have something on there, but I'm happy for it not to be the completed form. Yeah, finally, law students always ask why I chose Grace Inn. I attended at least two events there, two or three. I think one of them I want to say was a pupillage fair. And I just really liked it. It was small, I was already familiar, and I just felt like they were supportive and would be very helpful on my journey. I have not regretted that decision once. I think I also did visit another inn. I want to say Middle or Inn. It was one of them. I think it's Middle Temple. But yeah, I chose Grace Inn. I've been very happy there, and I've met some lovely people there while I was on the back course. enjoyed my qualifying sessions. I've even met baristas who have become like really good work. I have really good working relationships with. So yeah, that's why I chose Grace In. And like I said, I will also be sharing my interview process in an upcoming episode. Remember to sign up to the podcast by signing up on the website at alignthebar.co.